Damn good coffee. And hot.
Oh, damn good coffee and hot. Good morning. Boy, I look tired and old because I'm tired and old. I feel like I lost a day. Today, I feel like I lost a month. Today is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. Good morning, people of Earth. I'm just looking through some of the news that I missed yesterday because I was enjoying myself. That's what I was doing. If you don't know, Carl's in town. He'll be in this town for 24 hours longer, and then going to Music City, USA, put on a cowboy hat and go, well, shit, tomorrow. Anyway, we had a interesting time yesterday. Just looking through what's going on in the world. Same old shit, politics, right? Train derailment in Greece. At least 36 dead, scores injured as trains collide in Greece. Uh, who cares about that, right? Seriously. I care about that, but that's a world away. And there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry. Anyway, was a very long day yesterday. Ended up being a beautiful night as March came in like a sheep, maybe like a sheep dog, like a lamb. Is that it? Came in like a lamb. No, not like a lion. February went out like a lion, and I'm not lying. Anyway, so we go into Manhattan yesterday and met with Carl, and he's a lot taller than he looks in a box on TV or on the internet. Um, and that was my first takeaway. Wow, he's fucking taller. I thought he was Jamie size. Now watch Jamie be 6'4". Anyway, um, we spent some time at the. Well, first of all, let's start here. For a long time, I have been bragging about New York pizza. I have to stop. New York pizza sucks. New York pizza is the worst. It used to be good. It used to set the standard for what pizza should be. Carl comes here from the UK and 2 days in a row gets bad pizza in New York City. That would have been impossible 10 years ago. Two different places. Of course, why would you go back to the same place after you got bad pizza the first night? But you got bad pizza in New York City. Shocking. Then again, not well, it wasn't terrible, but the second day was not a major advancement. It was kind of like mm, Pizza Hut plus, or not even so much, like kind of like Pizza Hut. It was not great pizza. Not good pizza. Not New York pizza. So I have to stop saying that. New York has great pizza. Apparently, we have fallen off the. Long Island still has pretty good pizza. I gotta say, the South Shore of Long Island, New York, no. So that's disappointing. And this place on Andiamos, it seems to be quite a few of them. So don't patronize them. And there were people, New Yorkers. Listen to my voice, New York, New Yorkers, in this place eating pizza and not complaining. This is a very sad kind of event. So we enjoyed. We did not enjoy. We forced ourselves to eat some bad New York pizza, and then went to a bar. A bar, and what bar? The famous Jack Dempsey's Pub, where there was an Irish bartender and a soccer game on. and some beer to be drank, some drafts. Nice to see Jack Dempsey because there's a lot of history in that place. Jack Dempsey, if you don't know, was a early 20th century boxing champion who bought the bar because in those days when athletes retired, they still needed a source of income. Like they weren't rich. So Jack Dempsey bought the bar in New York City. A lot of celebrities used to go there just because of Jack. Um, and so there's a lot of history in there. So I got some cool pictures that I took. I didn't steal the pictures off the wall. I took photographs of the pictures on the wall. Uh, uh, Boardwalk EMI. What is it? Good morning, AW. Good. They had Jack Dempsey on Boardwalk EMI. I don't know what that is. Boardwalk EMI. Boardwalk Empire HBO show. Oh, wow. Uh I don't know about that stuff. Anyway, did they have his trunks? You know what? I didn't see that. Lots of memorabilia. I didn't see his trunks. We didn't go that far. Uh, but so afternoon at Jack Dempsey's, and that was kind of cool. And I learned some things about the game we call soccer that the rest of the world calls football. Um, and I learned some things about television. That one television can just have all the color out because they had the same soccer game on three different channels, three different televisions. The one in front of us made it look like there were two different games on because it had no red, no color red. Anyway, so I learned that about television. And then we went back to Carl's hotel room and did a live stream. So the Freedom Tower that nobody believes is the Freedom Tower except me. And some friends jumped on, and that was an interesting experience. And then went to the Stand in New York City. I have to say, the Stand is probably one of the best rooms I've been in a long time for comedy. It sucks that you have to kind of go down this gas chamber like entrance to the basement to get to the room where the comedy is. But the room itself, the stage is really intimate and small, and I like the way they do it. And they have five comedians on, and all of them are professionals. Instead of having one, major one headliner and a feature, maybe a host, five competent comedians and one very strange host. um, the host was flamboyantly gay, which I don't have a problem with, but he was a little bit weird in, I don't know, flirting with people he knew, heterosexual men in the audience. I don't know, he's just a kind of a weird guy, and flamboyantly his gestures were. I think you have to work at that. I was thinking about that last night because Lady Gaga, born this way, whatever. All right, you're born with a certain proclivity to like the same sex as you, but the mannerisms and I don't think you're born with gestures and ways of speaking that are very effeminate. If I think that's something they work at, or he worked at clearly, and that's going to get me some hate mail. But I don't think you can be born with. And I don't want to do the because then it seems like I'm mocking him. Whatever. It just seems like it doesn't come naturally. You have to work at being that flamboyant. Okay. Jeannie Garofalo was the first comedian up. I would say she was professional, competent, and something just a little bit lacking. Um, no home runs, but seemed to be going through some things, trying out some new things, and maybe I don't know. She it just seemed like she was not at the top of a game, and certainly not at the top of the lineup last night. But yeah, she was good, and she was professional and competent. Next guy up was I don't remember his name now. I should remember his name. A very white comedian. That's what I'll say. The whitest, tall white man, blonde hair, extremely white skin. Very good. It made me laugh hard a couple of times. Um, and then came Joe List, who was to me, I think Joe List knocked it out of the park last night. He was uh, very funny from start to finish. I hadn't seen him before, and I've seen him, in video, but never saw him live. Very good and great command of the room. Professional guy. I think top notch. I would put him after seeing him last night. I'd put him in the ranks of the major leagues of comedy, no doubt about it. Right now, he did make me laugh so hard that I coughed up a hack as the room stopped laughing, and he heard he heard that and commented on something like somebody needs hospice or something to that effect. And he's right. Steve, the new Steve that Cat has, which looks a lot like the old Steve, remarked that I looked like I was dying. I was having a good time. I was really enjoying the comedy. Turns out Carl was trying to get my attention for something 4 different times, and I either didn't hear him or he showed me his phone one time. I was like, I can't see what's on that phone, and you take it away from my watching a comedy show. So I did not uh, give Carl what he was looking for at that moment. Anyway, Joe List was very good. Next guy, Josh Johnson. Uh, Very good young comedian. I would say this is one to look for. Young guy. Um, I think very brave because Joe List was killing the room. He was murdering it. And people were laughing very hard. And then Josh Johnson has to follow that. Comes up on stage, and he starts from a very quiet. He doesn't come up like gangbusters with the laughs. It takes a while to set something up, a joke about a doctor's visit or whatever, and the bravery it takes to kind of follow because you're riding the wave of the room at that time, and the room is laughing hard. Now you take them down, and you got to set them up from the bottom of the hill, like the slow crawl over again, and that takes some bravery. Also, very brave about the political stuff he did because he did some political comedy in there. But and I was thinking, of course, in New York City, you can have an expectation that the kind of slant he was taking on his political humor would not necessarily get bottles thrown at him or not get shot or attacked by people in the audience. But I can't see taking that in the road in the deep south, that kind of stuff. And he's from the deep south, which is unusual. But taking that material into some places in America without getting attacked. So pretty brave there. And obviously he knows the room. He's a regular at the stand. So he knows the room. He knows New York City. There's going to be some tourists in there. But just brave anyway. Regardless, I think it's brave to do political humor in today's world. Then Mark Norman. Mark Norman was very funny, but I had never seen Norman uh, as disconnected as he was last night. Now, I known about his connection issues. Very funny guy. He's always I've always thought he's a very funny guy, and I've always known he has one-on-one interpersonal connection issues. But it never struck me until last night just how deeply. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a Sigmund Freud here and trying trying to psychoanalyze the guy, but how deeply he can't look another human being in the eye ever. And if he happens to make eye contact, he's gonna look right through you. Like there is nothing there. Like I don't know how to explain it. It seems like he leaves the body intentionally while doing comedy. Now, obviously, nobody loves joke writing more than this guy. He spends his life crafting comedy. First thing he said last night, okay, comedy, hey, yeah, comedy. He loves the craft, which is an odd thing for somebody who doesn't seem to like people. And I don't mean that, no, he's not like a hateful or angry guy. He just seems to have a real problem connecting with human beings. And this, hey, uh, never being able to look the audience in the eye. It for me, last night was the first time I saw him that felt a little weird. Sorry, Mark. I love your comedy. I love your comedy. Hey, I love your comedy. Hey. Um, but it was just noticeable. It was just noticeable. Like he would be fine doing that set to an empty room, and it would feel just the same to him. Maybe as long as you pump the laughter in, and put you know what, like the sporting events, right at the beginning of COVID, where they put the plastic people in, or I think he would like that. Anyway, great show, great show. And I think that's the best way to do it. I like the room, but I also like the format of shorter sets and you know all professional people on the dais dais on the lineup. So that was enjoyable. And then went back to another pub for some after show chit chat and stuff, and then back to get to my car and drive back to Long Island. Now, I have to say, the drive back once I got out of the city was the best it has ever been leaving New York City. I didn't somewhere along the line, they removed the tolls at the Midtown Tunnel. I was expecting tolls both ways. Neither way had to pay a toll, but no stopping there. It took me forever to get out of New York City because the garage I was in only pointed me west, and I need to go east. And then when I got pointed west, there was no way for me to make endless one-way streets and shit. So it took me a good 20 minutes just to get to the Midtown Tunnel. Maybe more, 25 minutes, half hour maybe. But then once I got on the road, record time. I mean, Mario Andretti would have been proud of the way I was driving that minivan down the Long Island Expressway at midnight last night because I got home. I left Carl at the parking garage 11:25. That's what it said on the clock in the van when I got in 11:25, and I was home in my house at 12:45. It's an hour and 20 minutes. That includes a half hour or well, close to a half hour of struggling to get out of the city. I must have been doing 100 miles an hour. That's all. Like, I wasn't paying attention to the speed limit. There was nobody on the road. Good time. good time getting home. And so that's my adventure. It's a long day for a guy like me who starts the morning here doing this, really starts before this, doing some tidy work. And then had some work to do before I got into the city. And there was snow on the ground and all that stuff, making the commute in. So it was a long day. It was from really for me 7:30 a.m. until about 1 a.m. For an old geezer, that could be a test. I did a lot of walking yesterday in New York City. I don't, that's one part of city life. I would probably be more of a subway guy or an Uber guy if I lived in the city, but I don't. But so that's one part of city life that I think if you live in the city, you just take for granted that you're going to do some walking. Suburban people walk. We don't walk unless we plan on walking for exercise. Um, anyway, did go to a dispensary in New York City, and I haven't tried the product yet. I'm eager to try the product. Now, this is weird. I don't know. You can't even see all the weirdness that's in here. I think it's. I think they set me up. It's like some kind of love dust. Some kind of. Once I do this. Now, here's the thing. Look at this. Look at this packaging. Where's that going? Where's that going? I'm getting on an environmental kick here. Where is this package going to end up? They're not going. We're not going to reuse it. It would be great if I could just take the thing out, smoke it, and then send this back to the dispensary and say, "Here, use this again, over and over again." Most people wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that, but I should do that. Why not do that? Because this is a waste, folks. For the product itself is environmentally sound and clean, but this heavy duty plastic stuff. How much does this what cost? How much does this cost? There's got to be a better way. Little paper pouch, but paper, trees. I don't know how you're supposed to package the stuff that wouldn't be environmentally that I'm shot. Um, anyway, so that was my day. That was everything. That you're all caught up. I don't know what else to say about that other than it was a good time. Good to see Cole. Wish him safe travels going to Music City, USA. Putting on the cowboy hat and well, shit, Carl. Let's get some PBR. I know. Feed the dogs, Carl. And that's all we can say about that. Now, hopefully, he will make it back before. Oh, probably going to get back late Saturday night. I'm probably not going to get to see him again, but it would be good if we could get back Saturday afternoon or something. Come out to Long Island and join us for Jackie's show Saturday night. Jackie will be here Friday morning to talk about his show at Suffolk Theater. Now I'm thinking, it's got me thinking about these theater shows, like because after last night, the intimacy of a comedy show in a place called a stand makes theater shows seem a little disconnected. And listen, what Jackie does is not at all what the comedians did there last night. Telling jokes in a theater, gigantic. The Suffolk Theater is pretty big, big old stage, big old balconies, and all that kind of stuff. You're talking to people 500 feet away, way up there on the stage. That's elevated pretty high. Just at the stand, the stage is probably about 8 inches, 10 inches maybe, off the floor, and you're right up on it. Even we were in like almost the back row, and we were very close to the stage. I mean, no more than 10, 15 feet from the stage. So it's a whole different experience, and I'm rethinking the whole theater experience and the one headliner type of shows. I think the stand has got it down. And I think, especially on a Tuesday night, I mean, to see the people that were out, there were a lot of people out for comedy on a Tuesday night. You probably don't get that in many other cities. Because, listen, the Stand is not the only place where comedy was going on in the city last night. But it was pretty packed for a Tuesday night. I don't have a guest today. Didn't plan one. Don't have one. Do have one tonight. Guy Morris, who is, what can I say about Guy Morris? Guy Morris is an author that writes about real world, probable or possible doomsday ideas and the end of the world, or problems with going wrong with AI, problems going wrong with the environmental climate crisis, all that kind of stuff. Just doomsday type of ideas, really. He his resume is filled with really impressive stuff. Smart, self-made man. He was supposed to be on the show once before. That's why I bring up the smart, self-made man thing. And was a no-show. Forgot stuff. What was like a Sammy Davis Jr. thing? I don't know. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? AW Sammy Davis Jr. thing. What was Sammy? You got me confused now. All right, if you can follow that up, so I know what the hell I was talking about. That you asked, was it like a Sammy Davis Jr. thing? That would be good. Anyway, don't have a guest today. If anybody wants to pop in for a half hour or so, well, how much time? Yeah, about a half hour. That would be cool. If not, I will just keep riding out and rambling about nothing and talking stupid, which I do very well. I wonder if I can pull that. I did pull up some of these or take off my phone some of these pictures from Jack Dempsey's. Can't find them. And I'm not going to look for them now because it's too slow to look for this stuff. I'm going to play, because I'm way behind in paying the bills here. I'm going to play a commercial for the best coffee in the world while I go get some new ones. This is Koa Coffee, folks. You know Koa Coffee. It's the best coffee in America. It's one of the top 10 in the world. It's rated by Forbes magazine. Get yourself some Koa Coffee. I'm going to go get some more right now. This episode is brought to you by Koa Coffee. If you are a coffee connoisseur and want to experience the best coffee Hawaii has to offer, no blends, no compromise, try the true taste of aloha. Koa Coffee produces premium Hawaiian coffee, hand-picked, expertly roasted, and delivered from Hawaii to your door with aloha. From award-winning 100% Kona coffee grown on the slopes of the Mauna Loa volcano to the unique mocha beans of Maui, they strive to provide their loyal customers with the best quality and freshness. Since 1997, Koa Coffee has been known far and wide as a product of utmost quality, and their awards prove it. Koa Coffee was featured in Forbes' Top 10 Coffees of the World. This is the coffee Forbes called the best coffee in America. Find out what it's all about. Go to minddogtv.com/coffee. Yeah. Coffee. Coffee. Yeah, so the big takeaway, I guess, New York pizza. I have to change. First of all, I got to stop being a braggart. I don't like braggarts. I don't like people who brag to begin with. You might know that I've alienated a few regular listeners who seem to have a little bit of Texas swagger in them by calling them out on bragging in the past. So Not big on bragging. So I have been bragging about New York pizza. Like I was living in a delusion of the past because New York did have great pizza. I swear it did. And I swear there are still places where you can get good pizza. Richie's Pizza, Deer Park, uh, where we did Tasting New York. Sincerely, very good. As good as it gets pizza. Albert's Pizza in Copeg, New York. Mama's in Copeg, New York. There are lots of good, but it's not a guarantee. There's some shitty pizza in New York. Really bad pizza. When I tell Rich this today, he's gonna be in disbelief. First of all, because we're both of the mindset that you can't get a bad slice of pizza in New York. Of course, you take one step over the line into Jersey or Connecticut, Pennsylvania, then your odds of getting shitty pizza go up. But I have been proven wrong, drastically wrong. And so I owe an apology to everybody in the rest of the country who I've put down your pizza, even like places like Oklahoma and I don't know, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You probably, in some cases, have pizza that's as good as New York City, maybe even better. Um, when I was talking about the flamboyant, why was? Do you think Sammy Davis Jr. was? AW got back to me on the on the Sammy Davis Jr. thing when I was talking about the flamboyant gay host. Do you think I never looked at Sammy Davis Jr. as flamboyant? I know he had some very prominent, but it didn't come off as effeminate, did it? Maybe I just read it wrong. Um, Listen, Sammy Davis Jr. was a very strange cat. If you want to talk about him, he was in his time. He was a young man. He was a star, and exploited because of his talent. Got into show business, and then dealt with some hardships of the era that he was in different rules for black people and white people. White performers, were treated like gold. Sammy and the black people who were performing when he was performing, were treated like shit. Let's be honest. They was treated like shit, like second class citizens, used the back door and all that kind of stuff. And he got in with the Rat Pack, like the token black guy, and they would never state it in that way. But listen, they didn't have a whole bunch of other black friends, did they? Sammy Davis Jr. was the one, black guy I guess that they could all make themselves feel like they weren't part of the racial divide at that time. Hey, look, we got a black guy. Yeah, we're cool. We're open minded. We're dare I say liberal? I don't know. Liberal is we're not prejudiced. We're um, but some people, I think my wife is talking to me and I'm not hearing her. Some people use the phrase Uncle Tom to describe Sammy Davis Jr. in the early 50s and early 60s, late 50s, and all that stuff. Then, as the 60s progressed, he wanted it to be a hippie. Now, black guy, converted to Judaism, one-eyed black guy, which makes him a unique person to begin with. A one-eyed black guy who converted to Judaism, who overcame the racial discrimination and all that stuff in his career. So he's already a unique guy. Then the 60s come and he decides he wants to be a hippie and he starts going to parties for the drugs, in his words, the drugs and the pussy. And he goes to Anton LaVey's parties. Anton LaVey was at the time he's the founder of the New Process Church of Satan, and Sammy Davis Jr. would go to his parties for the drugs and the pussy, and eventually converted to Satanism. Most people don't know Sammy Davis Jr. is Satanist, but he swears that he only was in it. Like, I wasn't in it for the devil. I don't really love the devil. I was just in it for the drugs and pussy. Uh, Good morning, William. Uh,
Morning.
were you ever into anything just for the drugs and the pussy?
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so. I think I
Would
have.
Would you join the Church of Satan for
uh,
New Process Church of Satan?
I'd like to say that I wouldn't,
I'd like
but
to say that I
I've
would.
I've come across some pretty magical vaginas in my day. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So then, he basically he did what he did, but people had this idea of Sammy Davis Jr. because I think it was you, might have been you, around Halloween, talking about Halloween costumes, and I said I was going as I got to be me. I'm going as what I got to be me, and then that caused me to look up the Sammy Davis Jr. video of I got to be me, and all the
Right,
people in the comments were talking about those were the good old days. This is wholesome entertainment, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking Satanist. And if you look around, he's performing at the Playboy Mansion. Bill Cosby's right behind him. You got Hef in front of him. You got all these young girls and these old men. Like some of these girls are under age. They're in the Playboy Man, and these people are commenting, "Oh, what a wholesome time! We got to get back to that." Are you paying attention? You got a Satanist singing a song
right.
to it's funny. I mean, how you got that um, wholesome entertainment label. Went from being a Uncle Tom to a Jew, Jew boy, and then the N word Jew boy, and
Jeez.
then wholesome entertainment, and the Candyman, Mr. Bojangles. But would you think was he flamboyantly gayish in your opinion?
Um, I mean, I think it would be fair to say that he probably had some mannerisms that would be commonly associated with
Yeah.
homosexuality at the time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
know. I could see, he was loose and small and
right,
slender.
right. I could see how he would have some traits that might make people feel that way. But like, I look at like John Mulaney. John Mulaney is another good one, good example of someone who, like, comes off as maybe having some traits like, but he's not. He's,
Yeah, nothing like
you
this
know,
guy last night. I mean, he opened up by he starts by talking about how gay he is, and then he asked the room, "Are there any gay people in the audience?" And then when he got no response, obviously nobody was either nobody was gay or nobody was admitting to it.
right.
But then he started saying, "My favorite crowd to play for are heterosexuals," and like being
Jeez.
yeah being anti
Nothing like being butthurt about it.
a heterophobe. But he was flamboyant. I mean, this is what I was, and I don't want to offend gay people, but some of those mannerisms, you have to work at that. That can't come naturally or easy. Now,
Man,
I
I don't
understand it's
know.
maybe you don't. It's not an active,
Consciously,
yeah.
right.
You're raised around ladies and you emulate your mother or whatever it is.
Right. Like,
But
have you ever seen the movie This Boy's Life? To me, that's a very good picture of that, what you're just saying right there. It's a very early on Leonardo DiCaprio film where he has a friend that tries some gay stuff with him. And that friend is primarily raised by women. So like all of his traits, all of his mannerisms, they're they emulate what he sees all the time.
right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
this guy seemed to be putting it on absolutely with intention at this point. Now that doesn't mean that it started out that way, but like when he was flirting with, he's flirting with guys or trying to make people hetero guys feel uncomfortable and all that kind of stuff, and obviously, doing the eye movements and the wrist gestures and all this stuff. It's like it just felt like
He was
he
playing a gay character
yeah,
rather
he
than
he
being a gay man.
cultivated that, and
Right.
that became his persona, and so that's a tough thing because you go out of New York City, that's not going to play well in most places. I don't think it would. I don't know. Maybe I'm being bigot by saying that and having.
I mean, I mean, I think it depends. Maybe you know what I mean, because like you know, maybe he's just overemphasizing
Yeah,
because he's trying to kind of highlight the um not prejudices, but the stereotypes of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what a gay guy is supposed to be, and maybe that's the stick is that this is what everybody thinks is gay, but like uh dude, probably the most beautiful gay man I know is like a 6'4" black dude with the deepest fucking voice you can imagine.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I know quite a few gay guys who are you would not want to ever uh fuck with them because they are intimidating presences and they're very manly gay guys.
Yeah. Oh man, in prison there was
Oh, I
this
bet.
dude named Jason Hansen. And he was in there on some type of sex charge. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I remember he was one of those gay guys that, boy oh boy, you better not say the F word to that dude because he will tune you up in a hot second. And I
Uh,
watched this dude in the middle of the softball field on the rec yard just take a dude to fucking town, like, and like he was literally like out in the middle of the rec yard. So like, he had, and this is the thing about somebody who knows what they're doing in a fight. He had a solid 45 to 60 seconds before any guard was near him, and it was far too late for that dude. You know what I mean? he was
yeah.
he was a beaten bloody mess already in less than a minute because
I,
he said, he flew the F word to that dude, and he was like, "What'd you say?" And like, because he had just hit the ball and gotten a double and gotten to second base, and the shortstop said something to him, said that to him, and it was just on. They before like in seconds they were like in the middle of center field just going at it, and then before the guards got there, dude was already on the ground and beaten pretty good.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's why you
that's
don't
a
say that
shame.
shit.
Somebody should
You
go
know
to
what I mean?
jail over that stuff. So, uh,
No, you know what though? I listen. Like when it comes to stupid prejudice and idiocy, man, like I really wish people could, just go ahead and have the reaction they want to have. Maybe then people would stop acting that way if they
yeah.
got busted in their mouth every time they got out of pocket. You know what I mean?
I got beat up by a gay kid when I was 12 years old for making fun of him because he was extremely effeminate. I was making fun of his effeminate nature, and he busted my nose big time. So I learned my lesson pretty early in life about that stuff. Tough guy. You know what? There, because we went to this club last night, a pub before the show, and there were some scantily clad ladies there, and
My favorite.
I was noticing young, good-looking women, but one of them was with a boyfriend who I at first wasn't sure if it was a lesbian couple or a straight couple,
Yeah,
but it turned out to be
right.
a so. But the guy, he was big, and I thought about this because because he was wearing like not pajamas, but like wear really bright, loose pajama like material pants, and he was wearing this loose pink shirt, and he had like gynecomastia, like male boobs coming through, big as his girlfriend's, and and he was tall, and I was just thinking that guy probably is gonna get called whatever word you want to put in there, and end up kicking somebody's ass because he's huge. He's a big dude, and it probably people aren't going to suspect it because they think, well, he's gay, he can't fight. He's look at him, he's
Right.
all
They
pinked
kind
out,
of figure him for a bit of softness
right?
that isn't necessarily there.
And yeah, and end up learning a quick lesson that just because a guy looks, pink and soft, he could be. He's
Right.
a big dude. Big dudes are hard no matter what. So, have you ever seen Mark Norman?
I don't think so.
Wow, I tell you, he's such a strange human being because he can't relate to people. But he's one of the funniest comedians out there, and his jokes are all about the human experience. And he writes generally like short one-liners, two-liners, and or stuff. But
Was he on the Jamie Foxx show?
I don't know. I don't know if he's ever been on any like regular television shows. He's had his special came out. His first special came out at the beginning of the pandemic, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and instead of going to like Amazon or something, he just put it out there for free on YouTube. But then since then, he's taken off. But he's always looking up. If he looks at the audience, he'll pierce right through you. You can tell he does not ever want to make eye contact with anybody, and it becomes really, really. If you watch him long enough, like I have, it becomes really apparent that there's something weird going on with this guy. And I expect him as an artist, and respect the work he does. But it's really hard to feel like because up until last night he was a guest that I've been trying hardest to get on the program. But I thought, I don't want to talk to this guy. There's no way I can have a conversation with him about on a deeper level other than, yeah, you're pretty funny last night or whatever. And even that, I don't, and he would be like, yeah, that's, yeah. And you know what? But never,
Okay, I know who you're talking about now. He's got like curly hair.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yes, I do
Uh,
know who you're talking about.
he does a lot
Very
of,
funny guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about in segregation they had white water fountains and black water fountains. What if you're a thirsty Asian?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's his whole thing. But it
Yeah.
felt weird. And I don't know if you've ever been around a comedian or watched a comedian work where you just got a weird vibe from him as a human being. Like, yeah, the stuff he's saying is funny. And I appreciate it. There's some laughs there, but distracted by his oddness.
Well, yeah. No. I do think. I do think that that's intentional. You know what I mean? Because especially like because I've seen him on a few podcasts and stuff like that as well.
Rogan, he's on
And
Rogan a lot now.
yeah, but he's been on some other ones too. But yeah, like kind of like pretty much the people associated with that camp, he's kind of done the rounds on all of their podcasts.
Yeah.
And it it seems to me that cadence is part of his humor.
Yeah,
Like
no,
he
the
used
cadence I get, but
right.
the really it's impossible for him to look anybody in the eye. He can't just look.
But I think that accentuates the cadence. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
like yeah, and you can really it's like when you listen to him on a podcast, you can tell when he's like answering the question normally, but when he's answering the question in a way that he's intentionally being funny, it switches almost automatic to that other drawn out cadence.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
I have
Where
heard
he's
him
like,
talk
I'm not
about.
really sure if you're gonna let me say this, is
Oh yeah,
kind of what is like the emotion behind like, I don't know if you're gonna let me say this, but here it comes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
He has
and I
talked
think
about his inability to make eye contact, though, and if I hadn't heard him say that, maybe I would be less, triggered by it, and I'm
right.
triggered not in an angry way. I'm not like, but
Right.
sensitive to it and understanding of it. But um,
Yeah, I
no,
had to think about. I'm glad you kept explaining because I had the name sounded familiar, but I'm much better with faces than names. But yeah, dude, I think that guy's really, really funny.
Oh yeah, he totally, and he works all day long at writing comedy. If you follow him on Twitter, you can see his mind work. I mean, because he writes jokes on Twitter, and
Right.
then he refines them a little bit later. He pulls that one down, and here's a new version of it. But all day long, and he's constantly writing stuff, and you could tell that he has a really, really strong affection for the art and the craft of comedy. Like he works at it.
Yeah.
I think this was my takeaway from last night because these people, the 5 people who were on there, were so sharp, so on top of their game. Economy of words. You didn't hear any yeah, you know what I'm saying, any of that kind of stuff. It was all as and they weren't working necessarily from a script. Just, Mark had some
Yeah.
notes up there, Joe List had some notes up there, but there was no extra words, no, trying to find stuff. They were just as sharp as can be. And I think that's what it takes to get to the next level. That, where you don't have to look for work. People start coming to you. Hey, can you do Tuesday night at the stand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So,
I know that for me, trimming the fat, as they say, is definitely one of the things that I struggle with because I notice it in my recordings. One of the things that I do a lot is almost at the end of pretty much anything I like, any longer thing I say is there's a, you know what I mean? I say,
yeah,
you know what I mean, like all the time. It's almost like a signal to laugh, which I don't want to like be guilty of. You know what I
right.
mean?
How do you
Like,
break that? There's got to be a way to break that.
I don't know because it's really a natural part of how I talk because I do it in my everyday life, like consistently.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But
like,
there's got to be a method to break that because I know there are. I mean, people who work. I've had, not recently, but in my youth, speech therapists who worked hard at, and I'm still obviously still a slob when it comes to speech, but worked hard on getting rid of little ticks like that, or things that I relied on like ums and I still go and a lot, especially in the morning. But
yeah,
you're conscious of it and you work on it, and there are tricks to kind of get you past
I have
that.
an idea, but it's a little unorthodox, and I don't think my wife
Shoot
would like it
yourself every
very
time you
much.
say it. Or you hear yourself
Well,
saying it, just shoot yourself. Whoa!
sort of. I was like, this is seriously a thought that I've had. Like putting a tack in my pocket, and like anytime that I notice myself say it on stage, like I kind of give myself a little shot with the tack to be like, stop doing that. You know what I mean?
That's a little extreme. I think.
Yeah, but
Well,
I
not
bet
as
you,
extreme as
I
shooting
bet
yourself.
you it would learn me.
I probably would. Yeah, probably would. How about Joe List? You familiar with his work?
Joe, another again, the name sounds familiar, but unless I saw his face, I probably wouldn't
Skinny,
recognize.
skinny bit of a man, but he definitely got a New York sensibility to him. He's definitely an urban guy, more of an urban guy, and one of these guys who comes off as a smarter, not necessarily cerebral, but a smarter kind of comic. He's, I guess, friends with Louis C.K. now. Louis directed his movie that came out, Independence Day or something like that. Came out last year. His special. Um, but really, really on top of his game last night. He had me to the point where I was laughing so hard that the room stopped laughing, and I was still hacking. Like, and he caught it. He said, "Somebody's ready for the hospice."
Yeah,
Um, but that's how hard he was making me laugh last night, and I wasn't the
that's
only one. The
great.
whole room was on, so he was really good. Um, but I hadn't seen him before, and now I think after seeing him just one time, I would put him up there on the A list of comedians. Good, refreshing night for me to kind of see comedy at its best because I've seen a lot of comedy at its worst lately.
Was um was it a set show or was Carl able to get up for a few minutes or no?
Yeah. You know what they have at the stand at 7 p.m. They have a show, and the gay guy I think is the host, and I don't know his name, so I'm just calling him the gay guy. I'm sorry. He's the host of all 7 shows or 6 shows they have that night. 7 p.m. There's a show, and there's a set lineup. Some of those people will be back at the 8 o'clock hour when there's another show, and then at 9 o'clock some of the other people are still, but not the same people all night long. So you're getting a mix up. But like Janine Garofalo was on at 7 or at 8 and 10. Mark Norman was on it at 8 and 11 and 1. But like that kind of mix up. But they have a whole roster of comedians that they, mix in and out, and they come in and do like 10, 15 minutes each. And
Yeah.
it makes the hour go by really fast, and nobody is trying to do an hour of material. So they're giving you, some of them are giving you stuff they're working on. That
Right.
was apparent, but nobody's giving you stuff that, you know, their weakest material. They're
Right.
not trying to spread it out into an hour, and that's
Well,
good.
I mean, yeah, even when I do longer show, like especially anything 20 minutes or over for sure, like if I don't try at least one new thing in that set, I'm stupid in my opinion.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because unless I put those out, because I like open mics, but I don't think that they're very good barometers of material. Because open mics are generally attended heavily by comedians who admittedly laugh at different shit than your regular audience. You know what I mean? So I don't like gauging whether or not my new material is good until I put it to like a real paying audience. You know what I mean?
and
Like how
you have to have those opportunities to go into a room that has a real audience into it on a regular basis
right,
to work that out. I'm trying to picture how that might work outside of big cities, because New York obviously is condensed enough, and there's enough of those places that comedians can go and try. So I'm sure the Stand wasn't the only place Norman performed last night. I think he was probably at Broadway Comedy or one of the uh
right.
and so, you don't get to perfect your craft by doing it once a week or once a month, it's really hard
Yeah.
to improve your game when your schedule is that light.
Yeah, I'll say like I really feel like especially for building material wise, like I don't think anything was ever more beneficial than being a house MC. Because when I was a house MC, it did a couple different things. One, like there were breaks because you only got the rotation about once every 5 weeks or so. But when it was your turn, you had or 4 shows that week, and me, like especially on the Wednesday show, it was super important. But I pretty much tried to do it every time because the house MC was only allowed to do 5 to 7 minutes. And because I knew that at the time Nitwits had a lot of repeat customers, and on Wednesdays it was T-shirt night. So Wednesday, which was the like kickoff of the week of shows. So like every Wednesday, our crowd was like over half of regulars, like people that come to the club like every week. And so I didn't want to tell those people the same jokes all the time. So I made it a point to have a fresh 5 to 7 minutes, like every time it was my turn in the rotation, you
Right.
know, and being able to do that allowed me to develop material much faster.
I'm gonna find this guy Oscar, right here. Oscar Aiden was the host, the guy I always call him the gay guy. This is him here.
Oh, okay.
He was the host last night. It was funny. He was definitely funny, but very pronounced gay. Now, this is the guy I'm saying people should be watching out for. This guy, I don't know how old he is. He seemed. Yeah, you can see. This is what they typically have, like a lineup of and
Right.
more. I guess that and more leaves them open to say we
Yeah.
can add people.
Yeah.
But
Like walk ins and stuff.
this guy is really somebody to watch. I think somebody we'll be hearing a lot more
Josh
from.
Johnson. All right.
Um, and the other guy who was on the show, the white guy was talking. This is the white guy. Was talking, very white, Francis Ellis. He was really funny, and talking about things that he was a little bit brave in his humor too. Anytime anybody goes anywhere near politics in these days, I'm thinking that's a brave move because you never know the reaction you're going to get. Even if you're in New York City, you can assume a pretty tolerant audience.
Right.
New Jersey not that far from from Manhattan, and that's where Ariel Elias got a bottle thrown at her for people assuming she was like a hardcore Democrat or something. So
Right.
Norman's
And
not
I
even
mean,
on this list.
I think nowadays, like it used to be that as long as you kind of poked fun at both sides, you could really get away with it. But I don't even think that's as true as it used to be
Yeah, I don't
because
think so
people are
either.
just so, you know, vehement about their political beliefs now. Like, um, so yeah, I don't get into it much. I don't try and get into
Yeah,
politics much.
yeah, I know.
But
It's a
this next
difficult.
run's going to be interesting, though.
What?
Well, because I'm calling it, I have questions, and so pretty, which makes my segues for the show really, really easy because pretty much by calling my show, I have questions. A segue is pretty much a new question,
Right.
which I can ask anytime. So that's kind of a cute, neat little thing that I built into the new run. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I'm definitely gonna ask some harder questions, I think. You know.
Cool. Well, now you're coming. Do you got podcast stuff? People's podcast you doing?
So I don't know what exactly is happening yet, but me and Mike Zinn talked about teaming up to do to reboot this. He has a podcast that he did called The Moment. And so we might be rebooting that, and I might be joining him as a co-host on that. We have not solidified the plans on that. But I did book a bunch of not a bunch of shows yesterday, but I think I booked like 4 shows yesterday. I have Albuquerque. Geez, I can't even talk.
I've been there,
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Yeah, I have Albuquerque coming up on the 12th, which is like not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
A
Um,
Sunday show.
Yeah, I love doing Sunday shows. Actually, I'm a huge fan of Sunday shows. I think that they get a bad rap for sure. You
What
know what I
time?
mean? I believe 7, if I
All
remember
right.
correctly. I should have a flyer later today.
All
Um,
right.
and then I got Fargo the last weekend of March, and then Sioux City in the I'll be in Sioux City at Whiskey Dicks again on April 21st.
All right. Now, those northern shows, it's not quite what I don't know. I've been. Is it springtime there by the end of March? No, it's still going to be snow time there, right? No.
I mean, it kind of depends. With what they've been getting recently, I'm gonna say there's probably still gonna be snow. Yeah.
Does weather ever cancel shows up there, or people up there are so rugged they don't care if it fucking snows 10 feet? I'm still going out.
I mean, it definitely depends on the venue. Um, I know a lot of time. Like this last month, I don't think Sioux Falls, Boston's Comedy Club. I don't think they had their monthly competition because I think of weather or whatever. So occasionally they'll cancel it for snow, but there's some pretty there's some diehards,
The
you know.
reason I ask is because summertime, most of our work for many years, between April and October, is outdoor work. And because I have to drive an hour and a half to, I want an early notification that so I don't waste my time driving all. And it's happened only once or twice in 23 years where I've driven,
Right.
uh, got to a place and they said, "Well, we're canceled for tonight." But that's not going from New Mexico to Fargo, which I would really fucking bum me out if I went 1,000 miles only to find out it's already weather cancellation. That would fucking totally ruin me.
Yeah, no, that would definitely suck. And I think like where the shows are at probably matters. Like if it's a venue that's going to shut down because of weather, but like those Fargo shows, I believe that's at a hotel. Technically, it's like the conference room of a hotel they made into a comedy club. Um, and so I'm pretty sure that that's probably going to go on no
How
matter
long?
what. And that's
How long did it take you to kind of prepare for a gig, like to go there and all? 2 days
you
to
mean
go?
like to leave and get
Yeah,
there or
yeah, to
whatever?
get ready. Yeah,
Oh yeah, especially if I take the bus, I'm probably going to
take
leave on the 22nd.
you got to get a car, dude.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, this is kind of the feeling is that so I could definitely get more consistent work back in the Midwest. And if I base myself out of Sioux Falls for a few weeks, I have plenty of comedian friends in that area that I'll be doing shows with and working with on shows, and I can ride with them back and forth to Omaha, to Watertown, to Sioux City. You know what I mean? We can just car as long as I base myself at a hub where I know I can get around.
Right.
Um,
We're still
you
at
know,
$150 on the GoFundMe for Wheels for Willie. GoFundMe is sending me a thing like I need to fill out this stuff to withdraw the funds and all that stuff. If you have a car, because we had a car my wife gave away last year. It's like, if you haven't, people have cars, that they're not doing with that is in running condition. It might
yeah,
be worth, doing a good thing because I definitely feel like that's the obstacle from your life turning a corner is not having the wheels. I think if you had reliable wheels, your life would turn a corner. But that's the starting point in my view. So
right.
I hope I wish
Well,
people give $3, you cheap fucks. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, I mean, I just want to get back out there, and I think that that's kind of why. Me and my wife sat down and we talked about whether or not it was a good idea for me to schedule shows and go back out there without having my own reliable transportation. But
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, well, I got to be real careful how I set it up, and I have to make sure that I'm crossing my eyes or cross my T's and dot my eyes, and you
You can
know,
cross your eyes because if you cross your eye,
yeah,
it becomes a T. I don't know if you're aware of this. If you
yeah, kind of, yeah,
but if you put
yeah.
a dot over a T, it's still a T.
This is true, and it
So
looks weird.
it's a one-way street. This I
It looks
and
like a real hoity-toity T too. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Like
Like a
it's definitely
like
worked
a
on its
T
gay
that's really
mannerism.
turned its nose up at you.
You
You
know,
know?
I have a gay mannerism thing that comes naturally, but I don't know. I think because I was I'm gonna blame this on my cesarean delivery. I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, cesarean, choking me to death. Like they had to save my life, so that's why I do this a lot. That's where I'm blaming that on that hand thing. I find myself
Right.
doing, and it fucking drives me crazy when I see video of myself and I'm standing there like this, like what's with the fucking limp wrist, dude? And
Dude, it's so interesting how that had to be something that like got pounded into your head as a young person. You know what I mean? That
yeah,
those sort of things because I know that it takes a long time and a lot of intentional conscious effort to get rid of those like automatic thoughts and ideas.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because like because it's like a conditioning that we do to ourselves to like associate these things, these mannerisms with
Yeah.
homosexuality. You know what I mean? When
Yeah,
like
not even that. It's just it looks spastic. It doesn't necessarily look gay. It just looks like a guy who is
it looks unnatural.
yeah, not only emasculine, but it looks like disabled. It looks like palsy, and it is kind of that's why I think it has something to do with the way I was born. I think it is a it's close to a palsy related type of thing because you see disabled people with
Yeah,
palsy doing that all the time.
they do.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily equate that with gay, but it definitely looks like Sometimes.
Light in the heels.
Yeah, light in the heels.
That was probably one of my favorite uh word associations, I guess,
They
or
say light in
whatever.
the loafers up here. He's light in the loafers.
Right, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go to work. Back
All
to
right.
work.
Oh, poor guy.
I know.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
I'll trade you jobs.
go to work.
You want to scoop some horse shit for me?
I would rather do that than what I'm going to be doing, dealing with pain in the ass prima donnas. But that's what I got to do.
I mean,
All
the
right.
best thing about what I do is I can put my headphones on.
That's what I mean. That's why I would love doing it. You don't have to deal with assholes. You just have to deal with what came out of a horse's ass. But,
yeah. I just come deal with what comes out of the asshole. So it's all right.
Oh, actually, tonight I have Dr. David Smith. I don't have Guy Morrison. Guy Morrison is tomorrow, and Andrew Riggs will be on tomorrow. Andrew is a comedian I met through Road Dog Comics of America group. We had him on the evening show. Tomorrow he'll be on the morning show, and then Guy Morris tomorrow night. Tonight, Dr. David Smith, who has this thing, a collar that is supposed to cure you. You know, it's a miracle, another miracle cure guy. Some orb kind of collar that you put on that supposedly it will
Heals
fix you. Yeah, it will fix you. It will fix what's wrong with you.
Man.
So I'm going to be.
So you got another carpetbagger on. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
I'm going to be my negative self tonight. I can feel it coming on already.
I can feel it already. Yeah. Oh man. Hey, you say you're on the way.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't forget to turn on your radio and blah 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 blah. See you
All right.
later.
Good seeing you.
Have a good
Bye,
day,
buddy.
Listen to me now. Listen to me. Listen